Welcome back to another session in the TAE certification series. In the last session, we were discussing specific areas of a TAS that may be considered for improvement, and we then started with the first one, which was scripting. Today, let's have a look at the remaining areas of improvement. So the second one is execution. The first point over here is extended testing time frame. When an automated regression test suite is not finished overnight, this should not come as a surprise. So it's not uncommon for regression tests to take longer than expected, especially as the complexity of your application grows over the time or when the new features are introduced. That's a very common thing. Second one, concurrent testing challenges. When the testing takes too long, it may be necessary to test concurrently on different systems, but this is not always possible. Okay, so there is always a growing demand for faster releases. So the team may consider that running tests concurrently on multiple devices to speed up the process. But this approach may not always be feasible. It can be due to different reasons, and it can be due to limited resources, such as insufficient hardware resources or network constraints, because that can really affect concurrent testing. Or there can be some compatibility issues as well, such as there can be some device-specific bugs or some inconsistencies in the test results across different platforms. Then we have constraints with expensive systems. When expensive systems targets are used for testing, it can be a constraint that all testing must be done on a single target. Okay, so let's try to understand this one. If you are developing a mobile app, let's say, that needs to be tested on the latest smartphones from different manufacturers, but these devices are expensive to purchase, and due to budget constraints, you can only afford one device for testing, which means that it will extend the testing cycles as all the tests now need to be conducted sequentially on this single device. Then we have dividing the regression test suite. So let's say that to address the lengthy testing duration, you decide to divide your regression test suite into smaller, manageable parts, each designed to run within a specific time frame, such as overnight. So by breaking down the regression test suite into smaller segments, you can distribute testing efforts more efficiently to make sure that the critical tests are completed within a reasonable time frame. And the last one over here we have is identifying and removing duplication. So during a review of your automated test coverage, you do notice, let's say that that certain test scenarios are duplicated across different test cases. So by combining these duplicate tests or optimizing test scripts, you can significantly reduce execution time. Number 3 is verification. Before creating new verification functions, adopt a set of standard verification methods for use by all automated tests. This will avoid the re-implementation of verification actions across multiple tests. When verification methods are not identical but similar, the use of parameterization will aid in allowing a function to be used across multiple types of objects. Okay, so to understand this, let's take an example of a web application where you need to verify the presence of certain elements on the page, for example buttons on different pages, let's say. So you define a set of standard verification method such as verify element present. So now here you are using the concept of parameterization to create a reusable variable function. So this will make verification actions consistent across tests and making the test suite easier to understand and maintain. Okay, so instead of writing separate verification code for each test case, we will utilize these standard verification methods. So for example, if multiple tests need to verify the presence of a button known as submit button, they can all call the verify element present method rather than implementing this check individually. Okay, now coming to the third point. Now let's say that we have different types of buttons in our application. Let's say we have a submit button, cancel button, save button. So rather than creating separate verification methods for each button type, we will parameterize the verify element present method. Now this can handle verification by simply passing the element name as a parameter for all the different button types like submit button, cancel, and save button. So this will promote code reuse in your automated tests. So I hope this one is clear. Then number 4, we have architecture. Changes in architecture may be necessary to enhance the testability of the SUT. Testability means that how easily a system can be tested. If the way the SUT is set up makes testing difficult or not work well, we might need to change that how it's built. Test automation depends on how the SUT and TAS work together. So sometimes we might need to change both systems to make testing smoother. If we are making it easier to test the SUT by adding special access points like APIs, then the automation framework may also need to be adapted to accommodate these changes. So this can require modifying existing test scripts or add extra tools such as logging and monitoring or testing tool for API testing, etc. Implementing these features later can be costly. It's preferable to consider them early in the automation process and during the initial stages of SUT development. So we already discussed this earlier in section 2.3, Design for Testability and Automation. So you can go back and have a look at over there. So thinking about how to make testing easier during the early stages of a building, a system can save time and money later on. Number 5 is pre and post processing. Standard setup tasks, also called pre-processing, prepare the environment before each automated test. So these actions can include tasks like initializing databases or the configuration settings or preparing test data. So these setup tasks are also referred to as pre-processing because they occur before the test execution. After an automated test has been executed, it is important to clean up the environment to leave it in a consistent state for the next test. So post-processing tasks, which are also known as tear down tasks, involves actions such as closing connections or releasing resources or resetting configurations. Defining standard setup and tear down tasks and using them across multiple tests, it saves time and effort. So instead of repeating these tasks for each test, we define them once and use them everywhere. So this saves maintenance effort because updates or improvements can be made in one place and affect all tests. Moving on to number 6, documentation. This covers all forms of documentation from script documentation, which actually describes the purpose and functionality of automation scripts. It provides instructions on how to use the scripts effectively. Then we have user documentation for the TAS. So user documentation offers guidance on navigating and utilizing the test automation solution. So it helps users to understand the features and functionalities which is available within the TAS. Then we have the reports and logs produced by the TAS. So they basically document the outcomes and the details of automated tests. So these help with the analysis and review of test results for stakeholders. Moving on to number 7, TAS features. When you are improving your TAS, you should be thinking about adding abilities like creating detailed reports about tests, keeping a record of action taken, which are logs, and connecting with other tools or systems to work together better. You should be adding extra features to your TAS if you are going to actually use them to make testing better or easier. It's like deciding when you are buying tools for a DIY project at your home. If it's not going to help you get the job done, it's just going to clutter things up and make it harder to work with. So keep your TAS neat and tidy and only add what you really need. Now, this point is the continuation of what we just said. So if you are having a toolbox full of tools which you never use, it just makes it harder to find what you need and can even make things break more easily. So keep your TAS simple and efficient by only adding what you really need. Okay, and the last one is number 8, TAS updates and upgrades. Okay, so let's take an example of your TAS which you are using to test a website. So you have been using it for a while, but there is a new version available with some really exciting new features. So for example, the new version might offer better support for testing mobile apps, which is something you have been wanting for a while. So you decide to update your TAS to take advantage of this new feature. But when you update, you notice that some of your existing test cases start failing. Maybe the way the TAS interacts with the website has changed slightly, which is causing your test to fail. So this is the risk of updating the TAS. While you gain new features, there is a chance that it might not work smoothly with your existing tests. Okay, so now how we can prevent this issue? To prevent this from happening, you can test the new version thoroughly before rolling it out to all your tests. You can run sample tests that represents different scenarios like testing different pages of the website, using different browsers and simulating different user actions. And by doing this, you can catch any issues early and make sure that the update won't cause problems with your existing testing process. And once you are confident that everything is working as expected, you can safely switch to the new version and enjoy the new features without worrying about breaking your tests. So I hope this one is clear as well. So now with this, we have reached the end of today's session. In our next session, we will cover our final section 8.2. Until then, take care and happy testing.